Good morning. Today we will be doing the equations test study guide. I want to show you on the video how to do each problem step by step. So you should have your study guide out and underlining important words as I underline them and working out each problem. So let's get started. Leanne is bringing her sick cat Snowball in for a series of appointments at the veterinary clinic. Her total cost over the course of treatment will be $250 for test and medicine, plus $45 per appointment. Okay. So if we underline everything that's important here, we know that she's going to have to pay $250 for test and medicine, plus one of your key words there, which means to add $45 per appointment, which is represented by the variable A. So part A wants me to write an equation to show the total costs represented by T that she will owe. So I'll start with my $250 that she has to pay for test and medicine. Plus means to add, so I'm going to be adding $45 per appointment, which is represented by A. I'm going to add 45 per appointment. Now this means for each appointment, I don't know how many appointments she's going to have, so that's why I've been given the variable A. So I'm going to add A here, and that would equal the total cost, which is represented by our variable T. So this is not an equation that I could solve yet, but it is an equation that would give me the total cost if I knew how many appointments she would have. Now part B asks, or part B says, the clinic offers Leanne a 25% discount of her total cost. Write an equation to show her updated cost. Okay, well, she gets a 25% discount. Discount means that it's coming off, so I want to be subtracted. We always start with 100% of the cost that we're going to be paying. 25% discount means I'm going to subtract 25%. That leaves me with a total of 75% that Leanne will be paying for her visit. So then I would take 75%, change it into a decimal. Remember, move your decimal 2 times to the left. So that would give me 7,500. And I would multiply that by the total cost of the visit, which I wrote here in part A. That would be 250 plus 45A. And then that would give me my total cost if she has a 25% discount. Now part C wants to know what will her total discounted cost be if Snowball's treatment requires 6 veterinary appointments. Okay, so now I finally know how many appointments that it's going to take to get Snowball feeling better. And it's going to be 6. So I'm going to plug in 6 in for A here in my equation. So I'll have 7,500 times 250 plus 45 times 6. Okay. I have to follow order of operations. I have parentheses here, and inside of my parentheses, I have multiplication. So I'm going to do that first. But everything else is going to stay the same. And then when I multiply 45 times 6, that gives me 270. And I still have these parentheses, so I need to add 250 plus 270 together. And that gives me 520. Then my last step would be to multiply 7,500 times 520 for a total of $390. So Leanne's total cost would be $390. Okay, my next question Does the perimeter of a rectangle is 61 centimeters? That's important. That's my whole perimeter. The length is 4 1/10 centimeters longer than the width, which is represented by W. Okay? So the length is 4 1/10 centimeters longer than the width, and my width is W. So I have to write inside an equation to find the width of that rectangle. But the first thing I want to do is draw a picture of a rectangle. Okay, my widths are on the side, and they are represented by W. Now the length tells me that it's 4 1/10 centimeters longer than the width. So I would have the measurement of my width plus 4 1/10, because it is 4 1/10 centimeters longer than that width. So I'd be adding the width 4 1/10 centimeters more for each of my lengths. Okay. Now to get perimeter, remember I add all my sides together. Okay. Now I can do this with a couple different methods, and here I'm showing you the walk around method. So I would list out all of my sides. So I got W plus 4 1/10 plus W plus W plus 4 1/10 plus W. All this together will equal 61 centimeters. So now I have to combine my like terms. Put boxes around all of your variables and the sign in front of those variables. You know if you're going to add them or subtract them. And you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4W, and then I have 4 1/10 plus 4 1/10. So I have plus 8 2/10 equals 61. Now I have a two-step equation that I can solve. Draw your line down the middle, subtract 8 2/10 from each side. Remember to line up your decimal places. 61 does not have a decimal, it's at the end, and I can add a 0. So I would have 8 2/10. Both sides cancel, I get 4W equals, when I subtract, I get 52 and 8/10. I have to borrow. 10 minus 2 is 8, 10 minus 8 is 2, 10 minus 8 is 2, and then 95. And I'm going to divide those sides by 4. And then I get W equals 13 and 2/10. So the width of my rectangle is 13 and 2 centimeters. And then to find the length, I could just take 13 and 2/10 and add it to 4 1/10. And that would give me 17 and 3/10 for my length. Okay, to the next page. It says use the distributive property to write an expression that is equivalent to 4 plus 36x. Okay, when it says to use the distributive property, that means I need to have something with parentheses. So as you can see in 4 plus 36x, I do not have any parentheses. So I need to make that expression that's equivalent, family component equivalent expression, have parentheses in it. So what I can do is I can factor out the greatest common factor between 4 and 36. So between 4 and 36, my greatest common factor would be 4. So I put that 4 outside of my parentheses, and then I would divide 4 by 4 and 36x by 4. So 4 divided by 4 gives me 1, and then 36x divided by 4 leaves me with 9x. So there's an equivalent expression that when I can redistribute this 4 back. 4 times 1 is 4, and then 4 times 9x is 36x. So I know that is an equivalent expression. Okay, and then our next one says to the following are equivalent to 5m times m plus 3. Now this one looks a little different than any we've seen before because it has a variable on the outside and on the inside of the parentheses, okay? But you do it the same way. You still circle what's on the outside and you still distribute it to both terms on the inside. So I have 5m times m, okay? When I multiply two variables together, then that variable becomes squared. That's a little 2 above it. So 5m times m gives me 5m squared plus 5m times 3 gives me 15m. Don't forget about that variable there. It's with the 5m and it will stay. So now I'm going to go through these and see which ones are equivalent. And to do that, I'm just going to see if I distribute or put these in terms together, if I get 5m squared plus 15. No. So I'm going to distribute my 5 to both of these terms. 5 times m squared gives me 5m squared plus 5 times 3m gives me 15m. So this matches my expression here, so A would be a choice. Now for B, I've got 5m at the end, okay? It's on the outside of my parentheses, so I'm still going to distribute that 5m. I'm still multiplying it by everything on the inside of my parentheses. I can start at the beginning. 5m times m gives me 5m squared. And then 5m times 3 gives me 15m. So this is the same as my expression, so B would work. C is 5m plus 15. I'm missing the squared and the m after 15, so that one will not work. D is 15m plus 5m squared. It looks the same as mine. The order is just reversed, so that one is okay. D will work. And then lastly, I've got 5m, 5 times m plus 3, and then multiply those by m. So if I distribute, I'll have 5m plus 15, and then I'm going to multiply all of these by m. Multiply that by m. So if I take my m and I distribute it into my parentheses here, m times 5m gives me 5m squared plus m times 15 is 15m. So E would work as well. So all of these except C are equivalent expressions in my expression that I have written. Our next one says use properties of operations to find an equivalent expression for 3b times 6 plus b minus 2b plus 1. Okay, so I can clearly see I have parentheses here, so I need to get rid of those parentheses. I do that by using the distributive property. So I'm going to circle 3b, and I'm going to multiply it by 6 and by b. So 3b times 6 gives me 18b plus 3b times b is 3b. Again, I'm multiplying my two variables together, so it's going to be squared. Okay, and then I have this minus sign, and then I have parentheses here. Remember, if there's not a number inside of your parentheses, let's say 1. Okay, so we circle this negative 1, and we're going to distribute it to everything on the inside of our parentheses. So negative 1 times 2b gives me negative 2b. Then negative 1 times 1 gives me negative 1. So then I would see if I have any like terms, okay? I always start with my variables and any variables with exponents. So 3b squared, I'll look at that. There's no other variable that is squared, so it's going to stay by itself. But I do have 18b minus 2b. I can put those together. Those are like terms. 18 minus 2 gives me 16. Positive 16b. And then I've got this minus 1 that I cannot put with anything either. Cannot put that constant with anything. So my answer is 3b squared plus 16b minus 1. Okay, my next equation here just wants me to solve. And I believe this is a -1 and a plus. So I'm going to take 1/4 and circle it and distribute it to my parentheses. Okay, I can't do anything with this equation until I get rid of my parentheses. Always look for parentheses first and get rid of them first before you try to solve an equation. So 1/4 times x is 1/4. 1/4 times -1, this is 1/4 x. 1/4 times -1 is -1/4. Plus 3x equals 2. Now here I have some like terms. I have an x here and an x here. So I can put those together. 1/4 x plus 3x. Well, 3 plus 1/4 gives me 3 and 1/4 x. And I have -1/4 equals 2. Now I have a two-step equation I can solve. So I'm going to get rid of my constant first. So I'm going to add 1/4 to both sides. This side cancels out. I get 3 and 1/4 x equals 2 plus 1/4 gives me 2 and 1/4. And then I can divide both sides by 3 and 1/4. Now remember, I can't divide by a fraction normally, but you can put this in your calculator. Put the top number in first, 2 and 1/4 divided by 3 and 1/4. That leaves me with x equals 9/13. Okay, and then our last page. There's Amelia bought a violin that was marked down in price P by 15%. Okay, so the original price of the violin was P. Okay, I don't know the original price, but I do know that it was marked down by 15%. Okay, marked down means my price is going to come down, so I need to be subtracting. Okay, so part A says write an expression representing the price Amelia paid. So you always start paying 100% of the price. Okay, but then they marked it down 15%. So I'm going to subtract 15%. 100 minus 15 leaves me with 85%. And I'm going to change 85% into a decimal. I'm going to move my decimal over to the right, over to the left 2 times. So I have 8,500 times the original price, which I don't know, which is my variable P. So there is my expression. This is a small expression, okay? 8,500 is P. I'm paying 85% of the total price, whatever that total price may be. Now part B gives me a price. Part B asks if the violin was originally priced at $220, how much did Amelia pay? So all I would do is plug in $220 for my original price. So I'm going to have 8,500 again. Now again, I'm using this equation right here to solve. Times the price, which is $220. So I'm going to multiply those two together, and then I get a total of $187. So Amelia would pay $187 for the violin. Part C asks, what does the expression 8,500 P represent in this situation? Okay. So the expression 8,500 P represents Amelia paying, so 8,500 was 85% as a decimal. That represents her paying 85% of the cost of the violin. Okay, and our last problem here. We have a picture of a rectangle over here on the side with the width and the length already included for us. So our problem says 5 students each wrote an expression to represent the perimeter of the given rectangle. Terrell wrote this correct expression: 2x plus 2x plus 5x plus 5x plus 1 plus 1. We have to circle the name of the student who wrote an incorrect expression. Explain why the expression is incorrect. Okay, so all of these people are going to be correct, except for one, and they're going to be incorrect. Okay, we're looking for the incorrect expression. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of my rectangle here, what I know. If the width over here is 2x, then this width here would also be 2x. Then if the length here is 5x plus 1, then this side is congruent, so it would be 5x plus 1 also. Okay, so let's see if all of these people have the same information for the perimeter of this rectangle that Terrell has. So Anya has 2x plus 2x. Okay, so here's a 2x and here's a 2x. So those two are accounted for. Plus 5x plus 1, which was here. So that's good. Plus another 5x plus 1, which is here. So that one works. So Anya is correct. Okay, Katrine says that there are two 5x plus 1s plus a 2x. Okay, well I've got 1, 2, 5x plus 1. So that part is right. And then I have plus 2x. Well, I've got a plus 2x here, but I've also got another plus 2x over here. So she did not account for both of those, so Katrine is incorrect. And then if we look at Luis, he's got two 2x's plus two 5x's plus 1. So I've got two 2x's, 1, 2. Got both of those. And then two 5x plus 1s. 5x plus 1, 5x plus 1. That is correct. So Luis is also correct. And then Steve has 1 plus 1 plus x times 2 plus 2 plus 5 plus 5. So if I distribute my x to everything inside the parentheses, that gives me 1 plus 1 plus 2x plus 2x plus 5x plus 5x. So he put all his terms that were the same together. So I've got 1 plus 1. Here's a 1, and then here's a 1. So I've got both of those. I've got a 2x here, and then I've got a 2x here. So those are accounted for. And then I've got the 5x and the 5x. So all of those are accounted for. So Steve is also correct. Okay, so Katrine is incorrect. Because she did not account for two sides with a okay, so she didn't account for these two widths of my rectangle. She only accounted for one width of the rectangle and not the other width. So she should have had two 2x's and then she would have been correct. Okay, so study the study guide and make sure you know how to work out each problem. And then you can always go back and watch this video on YouTube. And I will leave instructions on how to do that as well.